In Matthew 12:22, there was a blind and mute man, and Jesus healed him, but it says in Matthew 12:24, but when the Pharisees heard it, they said, "This man does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub." Now, it's going to be hard for me to say Beelzebub, so I'm going to say Beelzebub. So Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided by itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided by itself will not stand." The Pharisees claimed that Jesus did not heal the man, but Jesus responded that Satan would never cast out his own kingdom. And the Holy Spirit warned that blasphemy against the Holy Spirit would never be forgiven. And that's in Matthew 12:31. So they basically refused to accept Jesus, and their hearts were hardened, and they attributed it to evil. So instead of accepting Jesus, they attributed evil instead. Always saying there's no other way. On paper, you've got choices, but somehow they never actually matter. If you push back, you're called foolish, you're called reckless, like you're the problem. Beelzebub rules over quiet decay. He's got the authority only when people stop caring, when their conscience feels wore out, and when they're following orders. It means nothing to them anymore. Beelzebub is someone who twists the truth and tries to take place of something that's real. He's loud, sure, and can talk anybody into anything, but there's nothing solid behind anything that he's saying.
And earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
And earlier on,
Mark 3:22, it says the same thing. And the teachers of the law who came down from Jerusalem, he is possessed by Beelzebub. By the prince of demons, he is driving out demons. This passage warns against letting pride or preconceived notions blind us from God's work. So it highlights the dangers of calling evil good and good evil. So which happens when one is hardening against the truth. Jesus warns that calling the work of the Holy Spirit evil. And it's dangerous. And it's an eternal sin. It's a willful rejection of God's truth. So Jesus was accused again of being possessed by demons. And this is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. He was accused of being Beelzebub. So, and the teachers of the law who came down from Jerusalem said he is possessed. By the prince of demons, he is driving out demons. So the passage warns against letting pride or preconceived notion blind us from God's work. So it highlights the danger of calling evil good and good evil, which happens when one is hardened against the truth. So Jesus warns that calling the work of the Holy Spirit evil is dangerous, which is happening today. The inner split keeps his influence alive. So instead of making people curse God out loud, he swaps that out for systems, results, and self-made rules. And people get way too worn out to push back. That just going along is just feels like a break. And fatigue is his favorite weapon. And he doesn't just outright deny the truth. Under him, truth just gets reworded completely. And the words just stick around and around and around. And the meanings just start to slip. And what used to be completely obvious turns into something up for debate. And people keep going kind of numb and not really connected to what's real and reality anymore. And he claims authority, but without anything really real to it. And his power looks really official. And there's lots of structure and there's lots of hierarchy and lots of commands. But with these commands and hierarchy, there's no moral background to it. And it's all repetition and inevitability and no real justice.
President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
To follow up on one of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with Reuters, you said that he was joking about canceling the elections. But Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation. And only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
Beelzebub is a fake authority figure, ruling through distortion instead of open rebellion. You'll notice him where truth gets worn down, where people's conscience feels tired, and where compromise starts to feel normal. Picking systems over spectacle, persuasion over brute force, where God shapes life into something whole, he sets up decay and tries to call it order.
Audience to understand this is a top priority for the administration. The Department of Justice, as we speak, is continuing to execute search warrants and subpoenas. People will be in handcuffs as a result of the fraud that Governor Walz has allowed to occur for many, many years. The Department of Homeland Security is conducting door-to-door investigations on the ground at potential fraud sites, and they are also, of course, conducting continued deportations of illegal aliens in Minnesota's communities. We're also not afraid to use denaturalization. That's a tool at the president and the Secretary of State's disposal, and it's one this administration has previously used before. I know the Health and Human Services Department has also announced we are cutting off all child care funding to the state of Minnesota until we get to the bottom of this fraud. The Department of Labor is investigating their unemployment insurance program. The Department of USDA Agriculture Secretary Rollins weeks ago sent a letter to Governor Walz demanding he turn over every single name of SNAP recipients on the books in Minnesota. And the Minnesota Attorney General actually sued the Trump administration for that. What are they hiding? Our entire administration is working around the clock to get to the bottom of it.